President Trump spoke about Obamacare and Trumpcare yesterday. Let's see what he had to say.
And I have to say this just in closing, and then I want to hear some of your stories, and we'll let the press stay for your stories if you like. But the press is making Obamacare look so good all of a sudden. I'm watching the news. Looks so good. They're showing these reports about this one gets so much and this one gets so much. First of all, it covers very few people. And it's imploding. And 17 will be the worst year. And I said it once, I'll say it again, because Obama's gone. Things are going to be very bad this year for the people with Obamacare. They're going to have tremendous increases. And the Republicans, frankly, are putting themselves in a very bad position. I tell this to Tom Price all the time, by repealing Obamacare, because people aren't going to see the truly devastating effects of Obamacare. They're not going to see the devastation in 17 and 18 and 19. It'll be gone by then. Whether we do it or not, it'll be imploded off the map. So the press is making it look so wonderful, so that if we end it, everyone's going to say, oh, remember how great Obamacare used to be. Remember how wonderful it used to be. It was so great. It's a little bit like President Obama. When he left, people liked him. When he was here, people didn't like him so much. That's the way life goes. That's human nature. The fact is, Obamacare is a disaster. And I say this to the Republicans all the time, by repealing it, by getting rid of it, by ending it, everyone's going to say, oh, it used to be so great. But it wasn't great. And I tell Tom Price, and I tell Paul Ryan, I tell every one of them, I say the best thing you can do politically is wait a year, because it's going to blow itself off the map.
There's so much in there that's just not true. So he said, Obamacare covers very few people. It covers very few people. Your plan covers fewer people. So what are you talking about? According to the CBO, it's going to be 52 million without insurance in 2026 under Trump Care. It would have been 28 million with the Affordable Care Act. So as a result of your bill, more people would lose their insurance. They say it's actually, if Obamacare was never implemented and nobody ever did anything, there would be more people insured by 2026 than under Trump Care. So it's like healthcare reform that is going to make things even worse than it was if we did nothing. That's unreal, man. That's unreal. And again, he's talking about, the American people. We got to look out for the American people. Again, as we discussed in a previous segment here, according to the CBO, nonpartisan, they've gone after the Democrats all the time. According to the CBO, a 64-year-old making $26,500 pays $1,700 under the Affordable Care Act. Under Trump Care, the same person would pay $14,600. More than half of their income would go to health insurance. The bill is a disaster. It's a $600 billion tax cut for the richest of the rich in the country. $880 billion cut, I think it is, to Medicaid. $880 billion. That number's so large, I had to double check it, because I'm like, is it really that big? 800, and he promised on the campaign trail, I'm not going to cut Medicaid. I'm not going to cut it. I'm not going to cut it, except $880 billion, which you're doing right now. Okay, and then furthermore, I love his point of, Obamacare, people are going to say it's great when it goes away. Like, oh, you look back at it, it was great, but it wasn't great at the time. People are going to say, they say that about Obama too. Obama, now he's great, but at the time, he wasn't so liked, now was he? Actually, Don, Obama had a 60% approval rating in his last month in office. Historically, that is super high. Now, by the way, what did Bush left with like a 29% approval rating? That's half of Obama. That's so sad. But like, he just says shit. That's what I'm amazed by with Trump. He just says anything. Like, I don't know. I'm just going to say something. Yeah, but do you want to check it? Do you care if it's true or not? No, I just talk, and that's what I do, and whatever comes out, and that's that. Obama. People, when he was in there, people didn't like him so much. 60% approval rating is really liked. By the way, I have major issues with him. I spoke about it before. Drone strikes killing 90% the wrong people, expanding NSA spying, doing 7 interventions. I mean, the list goes on and on, not being strong enough on Wall Street. But still, what I think of him versus what the country thought of him is different. 60% approval rating. That's really good for a president. And this is when he was in office. So he just says, people didn't like him. Well, actually, they did like him. And then to the point on Obamacare, well, people don't like it. They'll say after when it's gone, oh, we liked it. But at the time, you didn't like it at the time when it was in there. Actually, Don, when you ask people vaguely, broadly speaking, hey, do you like Obamacare? Then it's mixed. Sometimes a slight majority say they like it. Sometimes a slight majority say they don't like it. It's always been around between 50 and 54% or in one direction or the other direction. It's strange because when you take out Obamacare and you put in the Affordable Care Act, then people like it. So the Republicans have waged a demonization campaign against Obamacare that was very successful. And you could see that reflected in that poll. Because if you ask people, hey, do you like the Affordable Care Act? They go, yeah. When you ask people, hey, do you like Obamacare? They go, no. So that's the same thing. Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act, same thing. Obamacare is the nickname for the Affordable Care Act, but people don't know the difference. They like the Affordable Care Act. They don't like Obamacare. So it's a little bit of good marketing from the Republicans that made people say in some polls, yeah, majority dislike Obamacare. But when you go provision by provision, the picture is very different. So Trump saying, people don't like Obamacare at the time, actually take a look. So this is from the Kaiser Family Foundation. This is a poll that they conducted. 88% of the American people have a favorable view of tax credits to small businesses to buy insurance. That's part of Obamacare. That's a provision in Obamacare. 81% favor or like closing the Medicare donut hole, part of Obamacare. 80% like the health insurance exchanges, part of Obamacare. These are all different provisions in Obamacare. 76%, like the extension of dependent coverage. 76% like the subsidy assistance to individuals. 71% like the Medicaid expansion. 66% like guaranteed issue. 65% like the medical loss ratio. 60% like the increase in Medicare payroll tax. 57% like the employer mandate. And 40% like the individual mandate. So the only provision in Obamacare that's majority unpopular is the individual mandate. Every other provision is majority liked. So actually, Don, it turns out that people kind of liked Obamacare when you ask provision by provision. So it's all misleading garbage, and he's just disregarding the facts of what would happen if his plan was implemented. And I really am stunned by just how brazen they are. Like, if I'm president and I'm pushing a healthcare bill, and a nonpartisan group like the CBO says, "Hey, here are the effects of this. It's not pretty. So many people are going to lose insurance. You're gutting Medicaid by $880 billion. The cost for poor seniors is going to go through the roof." I would go, whoa, I can't. What am I going to do? I'm going to pass that, and then even for selfish reasons and narcissistic reasons, you want your legacy to be making healthcare even worse than it would have been if we didn't do Obamacare at all? You want your legacy to be a bill that's so bad that it makes the healthcare system and health insurance system worse. I couldn't do it. But Trump is so immune to facts. And he's such an ideologue that he's like, no, the Republicans push it. The Republicans are good, tremendous. Believe me, I'm pushing it. I already agreed to it. Therefore, I must defend it by any means necessary. Hey, asshole, when you're long dead and gone, and this is implemented, and it has destroyed the U.S. healthcare system even worse than it already is, nobody's going to defend you. You'll be the only person defending yourself from the fucking grave. Nobody's going to say, oh, that Trump care, wasn't it great? No, they're going to say fucking over 50 million people don't have insurance. Our premiums skyrocketed, and this is a gross system. So how does he bring himself to do it? But he does it. But he fucking does it. It's so... You can't trust a word this fucking guy says, man. He's just a buffoon. We've elected a reality star buffoon, and we're now feeling the consequences.